What's up, guys? Another shitty week for me. Nothing new. Just losing money hand over fist here. If you are driving down the street today and you see somebody at the corner asking for money, there's like a 90% chance that it's me. I may be washing windshields for the extra $5 if you can spare it. So that's kind of like the Super Plus package. But other than that, let's get into it. So last week, literally all three picks went sideways, almost right out the gate. The one of them especially pissed me off because there was something I didn't realize until the game had already started. But anyways, so let's start with the first one, which was the under on the Jaguars Titans and Jaguars Colts, and this is actually the one that I noticed or did not notice something until it was way too late. But that was a rematch game, and the rematches we're going to get into tend to go over the total. So I had put in under 42. Had I realized that these two teams had already played and this was a rematch, I would have not been on that under. I may have actually gone completely opposite of that, but I didn't realize it. Aside from that, Jonathan Taylor being out, as well as Nyheim Hines being out for the Colts, really forced their hand into a lot of passing plays. And so while Matt Ryan isn't the most, accurate or best quarterback by a long shot, the fact that they're passing so much, in some instances, kind of slows down the game because even incomplete passes, they're just going to totally stop the clock. But secondly, because they weren't going like deep passes, it was a lot of drag and slant routes and stuff like that. Maybe some screens here and there, just a lot of underneath stuff that the Jaguars were willing to give up to them. It was just like death by paper cut, right? Just like a lot of 5 yards here, 5 yards here, 6 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards, just a lot of underneath shit. So it took forever, but they were just very efficient, kept moving down the field, stopped the clock, get out of bounds, whatever. So because everything was so efficient, and the Jaguars were forced to kind of pass as well, even though the Jaguars got up to a 14-0 lead out the gate, it caused this game to go over. And like I said, I think a lot of that was because of the personnel that the Colts. To me, Jonathan Taylor was the last second scratch because it looked like all week he was going to play, and then Sunday morning they were like, oh nope, never mind, he's not. But so that's one of them. The other one was, and this was just kind of a lean, if you remember, was the Buccaneers minus 8.5. That team, I did not trust the coach from the very beginning. Seemed like a soft matchup, seemed like a good spot because the Steelers were down so many in their secondary, and that the Buccaneers were healthy, that Brady would be able to come out and kind of take advantage of that. He couldn't do that. They just put a lot of pressure on him, forcing him to get the ball out within 2 seconds, which he did, but just wasn't efficient enough with those plays to really get and hold on to the lead. So they end up just outright losing. And then other than that, we also had another under, which was the Bengals Saints under 43. And under 43 was really important because that was a key number. And they had a lot of people missing that game, a lot of players just dealing with injuries. And actually just happened at Sunday morning. They announced Olave was out last week, and the line actually went down. We actually got line value with that one, which is great. It's usually a good indicator. So I was feeling pretty good about that all the way up to kickoff. And then within the first quarter, both these teams are moving the ball. They're both scoring. Second quarter comes, they're still moving the ball. They're still getting weird turnovers and getting good field position for both sides of the ball. And I'm thinking okay, this could still work out. Second half is really what we're counting on, because the second half for the Bengals, if you didn't already know this, and I think I said it in the last video, the Bengals, even going back to last year, last year in the playoffs, they've only given up, I believe it's 2 touchdowns in the second half of games, going back now 9 or 10 games. So the second half, or the halftime adjustments that the Bengals make on defense, are really, really good. Most teams end up having to settle for field goals, if anything, in the second half against the Bengals. What I didn't expect, though, is that the first half was going to be so high scoring that it really just took one field goal, 1 touchdown, which the Bengals got a touchdown in the second half, to go over that total. So that sucked. They like I said, they all kind of went sideways pretty early in the games, or in the Colts case, even before the game. So that's how that happened. So this week, I'm definitely changing it up because what we've been doing has not been working, and this is prime example of numbers don't always work. when it comes to gambling. If it was as easy as just let's look at some spreadsheets and let a number tell us where to go, everybody be doing it, right? It'd be easy. Anybody who went to MIT would be a millionaire right now just off of betting Vegas, right? So obviously it's not that easy. So we're going to do a couple things. Yeah, there's still going to be some numbers involved, but really want to look more at the game tape and kind of use more of that knowledge and kind of stop leaning on the numbers so heavily. So the number that I am going to use is going back to that rematch data. This is actually some research that I've been doing over the last 3 to 4 years. I keep the spreadsheet, obviously. That spreadsheet's been made every year since 2019 was the first full year, but 2018 also had about half the season. So about 3.5 years worth of data. Using that data and using those spreadsheets, I did find that when teams rematch, right, divisional teams, and they're rematching, about 60% of the time, the rematch outscores the first game, right, which is exactly why I would not have been on the Jaguars Colts game had I realized that this was a rematch. But a lot of that is because in the first game, both teams are kind of trying to feel each other out. They kind of know what they want to do, but they want to see how the other team's going to react. And usually the first quarter, maybe even the first half, could be a little slow, or it could be just kind of like a let's try this or that, see what actually works here. And usually by the third, fourth quarter, then you start seeing some points put up, some fireworks come out, and all that kind of stuff. In the second game, they have game tape because they just played this game. But also they have more game tape from other games that the other team has played. So they just have more data to go off of, more data points, and they know specifically what has worked for them in the past. They know who wins what matchups, kind of where they should maybe focus more of their attention at, and what they can take advantage of, just the little edges here and there that's going to help them keep drives alive, score, all that kind of stuff. So that makes sense that we'd have higher scoring games in the rematch because both sides do that, and the defense is really the one that gets hurt because they can't adjust to the counter adjustment until they see it, right? So they can't. Now it's the flip side. Now the defense can't really come alive until the second half because they don't know what you're going to do on offense. So anyways, that's 60% of games. So that's a pretty good number. It's a pretty good edge that we're looking at. But to take it a step further than that, and I'm pulling this right off the book that I had published this past summer doing this research. And it's all stats and data. It's not like picks, so it's not as shitty as my picks have been. But that being said, when the game 1 stays under 44 points, the rematch between the two games goes over, right, or we have a higher scoring game 78% of the time. So this Colts-Titans game that is coming up this Sunday is a rematch. Now, they had played each other just 3 weeks ago, with the Titans winning that game 24-17. So 3 weeks ago, if we go through this chart here, we would expect the Titans to win about 68% of the time, but only cover against the spread about 51% of the time. So I'm not going to go crazy betting the spread here, and I think it's only like 2 or 3 points anyways. So I'm not really trying to pick a side in this one, even though I do think that the Titans will win this game. But more importantly is the total point figure. So the point total for the first game was 41, 24-17. In the second one, we have a 78% chance that we are going to go over that total. The over, or the total that came out to start the week, was 42.5. So again, 43 is a key number, and it has been a key number this year as far as totals are concerned. Most places have already bumped this up to 43. I apologize. Obviously, the video is coming out a little bit later in the week. But even if you can get it at 43, and right now I think Bovada has it at 43 minus 110, I am jumping all over that because you're still getting that key number. But secondly, and most importantly, you're only about 2 points higher than what the first game was. And if we expect the second game to be higher than the first game, let's just say it's a field goal, that still puts you at 44. I do believe that this game, obviously if you could have grabbed it at 42.5, even better, because it's really only like a point difference from the first game. But because the numbers lead us so heavily to show that this game should be a higher scoring game, and secondly, it's not higher in like we need another touchdown. It's such a low differential between what they're asking us for on the total as well as what we saw from the first game. I love it. So that's the numbers perspective of it. As far as the actual game matchup, couple of things to really look at here that I think are going to help us. So one, the Colts, Nyheim Hines is back, or he's expected to play. Jonathan Taylor, it's assumed he's going to be active this week. I would not be completely shocked this week if they kind of pull a switcheroo with us again, because I could see them sitting him out at the last minute or whatever. But either way, I think, one, they saw what success they had last week against that Jaguars defense. And the Jaguars have a pretty solid defense, but the Titans also like to play a very similar approach in that they want to get to the quarterback, but they don't want to leave their secondary on an island. So they do a lot of zone, maybe back up a little bit, leave a lot of underneath stuff. So I think the Colts saw that success last week, and I think that we can expect them to try to go back to that success again, especially knowing that they have Matt Ryan, who really they should not be asking him to do much more than what that game plan was last week. So that kind of plays right into his hands. They finally got the receivers healthy. Michael Pittman's healthy. Pierce is healthy. They got pretty much all their weapons on the receiving side of the ball. Now, as far as the running backs, even if they are goes, I could see Nyheim Hines and Jonathan Taylor being a little bit less effective, or maybe just a little bit more worrisome as far as like re-injury and things like that. And maybe they want to kind of rein down their touches just a little bit. But on the flip side of that, we have the Titans who are coming off of a bye week. Now, before they went into that bye week, they finally realized, a damn light bulb finally went off, that they need to get Derrick Henry involved in the passing game. They need to get him the ball in space. Regardless of whether that's a handoff, a pass, a screen, or whatever, he is clearly their best player. He's the biggest mismatch against any team that you go against. They just need to get him the ball in space and let him do what he does. So they finally started doing that. They got him the ball on little screens, little out routes, little passes that kind of give him, 2, 3, 4 yards of separation and give him some room to get going before he gets contacted. So against this Colts team, you're going to see a Titans team who's had a week to prepare and plan for a team that they just saw 3 weeks ago. A team that they already have tape on, a team that they already know where they want to kind of take advantage of, of their spots. And a team who has already been scheming to get Derrick Henry the ball in good plus EV situations and spots on the field. So I do think you're going to see a Titans offense come out that's much more efficient, that's, even if they don't have the highest talent level as far as players are concerned, they're going to use them in such a way that they're going to keep drives going. Whether that's 4 or 5 yards at a time, or maybe it is 1 or 2 big plays, you're going to see some good efficiency here. I do like Vrabel off of a bye week, just having that extra time to prepare, especially, like I said, when it's a team that he's already played. This isn't some mystery for him. It's a divisional opponent one, and somebody that they've already played this year one time. So I think that both these offenses are going to come out and have some early success, and I think we could get this over really by the third quarter. So that's it. That's what we're going with this week. It's going to be one play. Like I said, when you're cold, keep it easy, keep it to one play, don't go anything over the net. Trying to get a damn win under the belt here. So Colts Titans over 43 is my play. I would get this sooner than later, because I do think by the time kickoff comes here, it's probably going to be at 43.5 or 44. I do think we're finally on to the part of the season where some scheduling and rematches and things like that is going to help us out, and we can kind of get away from trying to rely on DVOA and success rates and all that kind of stuff, even though they may come back. They're going to rear their head eventually here. So for now, let's go with this one play. Best of luck if anybody's willing to follow it. If not, fade the hell out of it. I totally get it. I'd be doing it too. So have a good day, guys. Have a good weekend. Good luck out there.